one of the key components for a successful lesson of any teacher or a Rebbe, parent, anybody that's engaged in transmitting information, knowledge, and some meaningful information is to create some type of a structure which begins with an opening statement, giving the structure of exactly what the lesson is going to be, and then transmitting the information. But at the end, it's very, very important to do some closure, which says at the end of the day, okay, so what did we learn? What are we taking with us? And how can we concretize our experience to incorporate that into who we are and what we've become as a result of having that experience. I think that in the terms of Chazal, it's called Isru Chag. Isru Chag is the day after Yom Tov. That's just the way it's listed on the calendar. But Isru Chag, the lashon of le'esor, the lashon of something that's usher, something that's forbidden, is because it's bound. It's got boundaries to it. And Isru Chag is basically taking the aliyah, the spiritual growth, the experiences, the relationships, the knowledge that we spend so much of our holiday, of our Chag, of our Yom Tov busy with, and to wrap it up like we do to a package before we ship it, in order to keep everything in suitcases. Everyone's going out to Israel, all the Bachrim and all the girls and the young couples are going back. So those suitcases, you stuff them with so much. Everyone's bringing over letters and packages and bricks of cheese and Cheerios boxes and tissues in the olden days it used to be, and tuna fish cans, but you just don't want it to pop open. So you take something and you wrap it around, Isru Chag. You want to tie the Yom Tov up with some type of a binding material that'll keep everything inside of us and keep it going. And one of the first ways to do that is really to understand what the goal of the lesson was. This is all Rebbe School 101. You have to obviously have a goal, know what you want to accomplish, and then you could apply all the information that was given and apply it to the goal in order to get the most bang for your buck, as they may say. So what is the purpose of Sipur Yetzias Mitzrayim and telling over the story and relating it to your children? And what was the purpose of Hashem making all these miracles in Egypt and splitting the Yam Suf and sending the Mitzrayim down and punishing them for their behaviors and lifting up the Bnei Yisrael to such a height that the entire world got to see the Roimamus, the godless, the lofty level of Bnei Yisrael? So the Sefer HaChinuch says that the purpose of all of the Nisim of Mitzrayim, that purpose of the Makos, the purpose of the dramatic events of Kriyas Yam Suf, was for one purpose only, was to get the Bnei Yisrael to Har Sinai and to be able to prepare them for Kabbalas HaTorah, to prepare them to receive this unbelievable gift from HaKadosh Baruch Hu that no other nation could touch. No other nation was able to go near it. They just couldn't handle it. And to lead Bnei Yisrael up to that level. So if you think about it, we're really not finished yet. We don't have to clean, and we don't have to cook, but this period of time now says, okay, I prepared it all. It's almost like Shabbos. You know how it is on a Friday afternoon, and you're rushing and you're running, and no matter how long the day is, and then it's Lichtbenchen time, and everything has to stop. There's just nothing you could do about it. The phone could ring. Some package may arrive. The repairman may be there. You forgot to turn the light off in your car, and it's going to burn out. It's just, you know something? It's Shabbos. So what happens is that basically this whole period of Sfiras HaOmer is the time now to take all of the experiences of Pesach and to sit back and say, okay, now it's done. Now it has to set, it has to simmer, it needs to cure in our neshama, so that in 49 days we'll be ready for Kabbalas HaTorah. Because just like Mitzrayim and Pesach is not just a commemoration, it's a reenactment, it's a reaffirmation of who we are. So Kabbalas HaTorah is the same thing as well. You know, we say every day in Kriya Shema, twice a day, 3 times a day, Asher Anochi Mitzavcha Hayom. HaKadosh Baruch Hu says, the words that I'm commanding you today should remain on your heart. And Chazal asked, today? Hashem didn't say anything to me today. It happened thousands of years ago at Kabbalas HaTorah. Chazal tells us, no, HaKadosh Baruch Hu wants us to look at our Kabbalas HaTorah, our acceptance of the Torah, our relationship with HaKadosh Baruch Hu every day like it's new. One of the biggest challenges, we'll speak about it one day, one of the biggest challenges of a frum Yid is to put chiddush, to put some type of renewal into every single day. Because otherwise it could seem somewhat of a monotonous day-to-day, same Shachris, Mincha, Ma'ariv, Sunday, Friday, Shabbos, next week, and then it comes another Yontif, and then it comes another Yontif. But planted into the Torah are so many opportunities for renewal, opportunities to look at every day as if it's another day. Our lives, our marriages, HaKadosh Baruch Hu put into the whole element of our culture, if I may call it that, of our chiyus, the opportunity to make it new and to make it special, as if HaKadosh Baruch Hu gave it to us today. And that happens every single day of Sfiras HaOmer. It happens all the way straight through until Kabbalas HaTorah and the day of Shavuot. So to think about the fact that everything that we've done really now leads us up to Matan Torah. So what are we supposed to do about it? What are we taking with us? How does that apply to that which we've spent so much investing in this relationship with our children? We spoke about it over Pesach. Everybody's going to have to write a short composition of exactly how they carried out what we discussed before Yom Tov. It's one of the requirements for doubles and bagels and cream cheese and lox. Exactly how did I apply some type of a relationship building experience with my child? Make a little yearbook and pictures, and maybe make a trip to I don't know, Queens Park or Yerushalayim, but I think it's important for us, like I said, as far as closure is concerned, to say, you know something, what exactly did I do? What am I going to reinforce in this relationship building between a mother and a child, or a grandchild, or great-grandchild, Mitzvah Hashem, Kein Yirbu. So what can we do? Now there always comes up this question about women and learning Torah. And I want to get, it's been Baruch Hashem, I think the shir is established enough that now I could start getting controversial a little bit, and have some strong opinions expressed. But there really is nothing confrontational about what I have to say. Because there's no suffix that a woman has a very, very strong and powerful chiyuv in the transmitting of Torah to her children. And I want to perhaps suggest it in a certain particular way, which I believe everybody can appreciate. I saw a very, very fascinating Yerushalmi. And it says like this. There's a mitzvah in the Torah. It's in Parshas Va'eschanan, just before the mitzvah of Shema Yisrael, Hashem Elokeinu Hashem Echad. Moshe Rabbeinu in Parshas Va'eschanan begins to describe the scenario, the situation, the scene of Kabbalas HaTorah. And he says like this: all of these words, Hashem spoke to you at the mountain from a fire, from the midst of this heavy, thick darkness. Koel Gadol was a very loud, very large sound, V'lo Yosef, which wouldn't cease. Vayichtevei al shnei luchas avanim. They wrote it on these 2 tablets of stone. Then the Zakanim, the elders, came to Moshe Rabbeinu and they said, we can't handle this, it's too much. And then maybe instead of Hashem speaking to us, you could speak to us. And we know how that continued. So there's a very, very vivid and graphic description of what Kabbalas Torah looked like. And following that description, or let me just make sure that it's... that description is in Perek Hay. But when you think about the description and the drama and the intensity of Kabbalas Torah, there's another pasuk that says, it happens to be in Perek Dal, a Perek before, that says, Rak hishomer locha, be very, very careful. Pen tishkaches hadvarim asher ro'u einecha. You're not permitted to forget that which you've seen. Upen yasur mulvavcha, and be careful lest they chas v'shalom be removed from your hearts kol yimei chayecha, v'hodatam levanecha v'levnei vanecha. You must teach them, you must transmit them, you must inform these events to banecha, your children, ubnei banecha. Bnei banecha are what? Grandchildren, the sons of the sons. And from this pasuk, it's learned in the Gemara that a grandfather, a grandparent, or a grandfather has a chiyuv to teach Torah to a grandchild, not just the mother. She loves her Zadie and she loves her Bubby. Sure. Okay, it's nothing personal, but it was scary. I hope I wasn't too graphic in my description. But Baruch Hashem, that's a very, very sweet, sweet sound. And the question is as follows: what is this mitzvah of teaching Torah to a grandchild? How does it play itself out? Is there a chiyuv? I always thought v'shinantam l'vanecha, teach your children. But what is this opinion of giving over this drama to the grandchildren, teaching them the scene of Har Sinai? It really sounds very typical, because that's what grandparents do. They tell over to grandchildren things that happened in the olden days. I don't know if I ever mentioned to you about my son coming to me and saying to me, Abba, can you tell me what was it like in the olden days? And I said to him, I didn't live in the olden days. He says, what do you mean? You were born in the 60s. I said, that's not the olden days. I said, Tzvi Kamenetzky, my father is Ozai he was born in the 20s. That's the olden days. No. The 20s is like ancient history. It's not the olden days. You are from the olden days. So there you have it. But what does that mean? There's a mitzvah to transmit this to your grandchild. And I saw Yerushalmi, Talmud Yerushalmi, that just was fascinating. It said as follows. It says that Rabbi Yeshua ben Levi, every Erev Shabbos, used to listen to his grandson laying over the Parsha. I was so excited because I was thinking about laning and listening to your kids do Girsa and review and just picture. Can you imagine if he had 15, 20 Kanai grandchildren? 15, 20? I don't want to even go into the numbers, Kanahara. But could you imagine how much Girsa, how many Parshas were being read on every Erev Shabbos? He read. And one week he forgot. I guess he overlooked his schedule and he missed this opportunity to listen to his grandson, and he had already gone to the merchat, to the bathhouse to wash up for Shabbos, and he was ready. I guess he went with his shamash, whoever used to help him to the merchat, and as he was undressing, so he realized, I forgot. So he got dressed up again, and he said, I have to go quickly because I got to go listen to my grandson say the parsha. So his shamash said to him, there's a halacha that says that. He could have really done this after he finished washing up. So there are halachas in Hilchos Shabbos that say that there are certain activities that a person should not engage in on Erev Shabbos because maybe you'll end up getting too involved in them and miss your opportunity to prepare for Shabbos or light candles and bring Shabbos in on time. So therefore, let's say a person's not supposed to, many of them they don't wash to have a seudah on Friday afternoon. Because they're going to wash and have a meal, so they might schlep out. But what happens if a person begins their meal already, from before chatzos, before midday, and then it goes into the time that you shouldn't, so then you could continue because you started at a prior time. And then there are other halachas that say that if a person accidentally began a su'udah, then they're not chayav to go stop the meal in the middle. It's just it's the best case scenario. So he asked him, why is, if you're already dressed going to the merchatz, so you've done it already, so why are you stopping to go to get redressed again? And he said the following. I think it's just an amazing chiddush. I said it over to a number of people, and they hadn't heard this Yerushalmi. So Rabbi Shimon Levi said to him, what do you mean? Is it small in your eyes, the mitzvah of v'hodata l'vanecha v'levnei vanecha, which tells us that anybody who listens to his grandchild learn Torah, it's as if he accepted that Torah from Har Sinai. Anybody that listens to his grandson learning Torah, then that relationship is as if the grandson was makabel the Torah by Har Sinai. And that's very different from the way the Babli says it. The Babli says it the other way, which is much more pashut. Anybody who teaches Torah to their grandchild, it's as if they accepted it from Har Sinai, because then they're showing that the tradition is just not father to son, but that it extends itself to the next generation. So once you've extended it to the grandson, you extend it backwards, forwards, in each direction, and you made this connection, right? You made this connection all the way back from Har Sinai till today. In fact, many of the Rebbeim do that here. It's very if you do a graphic description of the shalshelis, of the chain of the tradition from Moshe Rabbeinu right down to grade 1, it's an amazing. Rabbi Shimon Finkelman has that. He has it's mapped out. Moshe, Rabbeinu, Hashem, Moshe, Yehoshua, Zakanim, Nevi'im, Baya, Rav, down the Naganim, Chai Velazhanar, all the way down till this classroom, and then you say to the child, "So tell me something. If you stick around, and you pay attention, and you get yourself involved, you're right there in the middle of that link. You're right there in the middle." So that's what it says. If you teach Torah to your grandson, that's what the Gemara Kedushin says in Babli. But the Yerushalmi is saying something different. The Yerushalmi is saying that if you hear your grandchild learning Torah, then you're connecting to Har Sinai. What's this thing about hearing somebody learn? I haven't taught him anything. And I know at the time is late, and I really could say that, we'll tell you the teretz next week. No. And then it'll get everybody here to come back, but I don't know if it'll get anybody new to come, because they'll say, well, I wasn't there last week, so I don't know the question, so much I come to the answer for. But I saw in the Ksavim, in the writings of Rabbi Aaron Kotler, Zechatzadik Levracha, that there are two components to learning. One component of learning is the actual knowledge that you transmit, the Torah that you learn and you teach. But there's another whole area of Torah that has to do with enthusiasm. It has to do with excitement about Yiddishkeit. It has to do about the geschmack in learning Torah and showing how special it is and making it alive and making it vivid and giving it rhythm and giving it simcha. That is something that is learned from the pasuk Vishinantam Levanecha. Vishinantam is not the same as Limadatem. Vishinantam comes from the word shein. Shein is a tooth. It's sharp. That you must transmit to your children Torah in a way that it's at the tip of their tongue, that it's singing on their lips. It's something that they're always engaged in, they're excited about. I couldn't believe we were driving back from New York, and driving back from New York, and driving back from New York, and after we finished doing that, we continued driving back from New York, and I was fascinated, and again, this is not a little commercial announcement, but I was fascinated that my first grader said, Abba, I'm bored. How many times can I listen over to the Uncle Moshe tape? Can I learn? I want to review my chumash. I said, Miriam, is this kid feeling okay? And so what I had to do is, I said I don't have a chumash in the car. I had a tehillim in the car, and we had a siddur in the car, but who carries around a chumash wherever you go? I mean, perhaps it was in my house bag in the suitcase that was buried in between all the other packages and gifts or whatever else it might have been. So I had to download, Miriam had to drive, I took my Palm Pilot, and I downloaded the Parsha. I think Chabad has a Palm downloading site that you could download it onto your PDA I downloaded Parshas Bereshis, Noach Lechol Chavayera. Okay, technology. Baruch Hashem, the cell phone had a good purpose. Okay, and I downloaded it, and he sat. I'm not talking for 15, 20 minutes, for hours and hours of walking up every time he did Bereshis, Noach Lechol, Bereshis, Noach Lechol. Now, I mean, we're, for anybody to say that, oh, this kid doesn't enjoy learning, and believe me, it's not coming from me necessarily, but obviously somebody's doing a good job into being able to take the words of Torah and make it exciting, and make it fun, and make it enjoyable, and make it something that the child is thrilled to be connected to. That's Vashinantam. Because when he got tested, and then, don't forget, then the fourth grader said, it's not fair, I also want to do it. No, it's Baruch Hashem, that's good, it's good, you know. But he doesn't want to do Chumash, he wants to do Mishnayos. Okay, so then you have to get the other one, the other PDA, okay, the one that, you know, doesn't have good reception, but maybe it'll, and you have to download Mishnayos Yuma, Mishnayos Sukkah, and then he's going, here you have in the car, forget about Uncle Moshe and one of them David and the sphere tapes. You have just a whole, you know, 6-speaker quadraphonic system going on, but that's V'shinantam L'vanecha. And I wanted to say a chiddush, that if that's the second chelik of Torah, you know something, women have their portion in Torah, there's no suffix about it. There's definitely parts of Torah that a woman has the time to be involved in and can transit, but there's one other chelik of Torah that I think that the mothers have a very strong chelik in, and that is just making it really beautiful. Making that Torah-shaped cake with the icing that has the 10 dibros on it. I'm sure some of you came back when the JK was learning Parshas Bereshis and Maruchi and Marbina. They made these little cupcakes with each day of the week, and there was the black and white one with the Yom V'Layla, and then the one with the little fishes on it, and then the one that had grass growing out of it. But you know what happens? That means you've taken your instinct of creativity and applied it to something that's eternal, to something that's niftious. And that's what Rabbi Shua Levi was teaching us. Because for that, you don't have to say a thing. You could listen to your grandchild learning Torah, and then you are transmitting to him that unbelievable excitement that happened in Har Sinai. Because when you listen to your child doing his homework, and you listen to him chazer his Mishnayos, or to review his Psukim, or to say his Gemara Baal Peh, or you watch him engaging in Midos Tovos and acts of Chesed, and telling the emes, and telling the truth, and cleaning his room, and you put up an incentive, or you sit down and push it at the end of the day and say, so tell me, Moshe, what did you learn in school today? Tell me, Rachi, what did you learn in school today? And they tell it over to you. You are, in essence, teaching Torah to your child, because you're giving over that the magnitude of drama that took place in Har Sinai, the Aish, the fire, the Arafel, the birds stopping to chirp, and then it all translates into the Nayam of Torah, the beauty of Torah, and why it is the lifeline of our eternity. That, I believe, is the job that we now have between Pesach and Shavuot. To take Isrul Chag, to tie up all of those those advancements and all of those relationships and all of the Torah and Messiah, the learning and the tradition and the connections and the relationship that was built in those wonderful, wonderful days of Yom Tov, the Chalamoid trips and the video presentations and the Niagara Falls trips, and how many times can we go to Niagara already? You know, but just take a look at it. The water keeps on flowing, and it's so majestic, and it's godless habayre. Take that and realize that all of those discussions, the time that you spent not only speaking, but the time that we spent listening to our children, listening to our grandchildren, that is transmitting over and replacing ourselves at Har Sinai. That's why it's as if you were Makabel Torah from Har Sinai, by listening over to your grandchildren. We should be zeichet to take these days and these weeks and the build-up all the way till Kabbalas Torah and to concretize that, so that the ultimate goal of accepting the Torah should be something that's meaningful forever in our lives and the lives of our children and the Mitzvah Shem for future generations.